Warning, this video is intended for a mature audience. You understand? Viewer discretion is advised. Yay! Alright, this is Billy Bob Tanley here, people, and this is a request from Insane Korean 77 rebranding soon, and it was uploaded by AntDude, and the name of this video is Ape Escape, Gotta Catch 'Em All, AntDude. Okay, let's check it out. Yay. AntDude. Okay, what is this?
When it comes to platformers on the original PlayStation, your mind will probably automatically go to something like Crash Bandicoot or Spyro the Dragon,
played a little bit of
two
Crash
kings
too.
on that console.
Not much
or maybe something a little bit more obscure, like Jumping Flash or Croc.
Nah.
Maybe you're one of those people who understand that not nearly enough of the population has played Klonoa. But, of course, we are not talking about those today. We are talking about the other heavy hitter on the original PlayStation, Ape Escape.
I've heard of Ape Escape.
It's not as if this is a forgotten platformer by any means. If anything, this game and the series are fondly remembered.
I saw it in a magazine. That's how I first learned about it.
This is a first-party developed game too. Sony made this. Ape Escape is Sony's baby. You never really see Sony themselves making the platformers. They always take them from somewhere else.
It's not that great.
Very recently, there was that PlayStation VR game, Astro Bot Rescue Mission, and that that game was fantastic. But
was it really?
Yeah, that's really about it. That's all I can think of.
Nice setup.
That's all I can think of. And with the likes of Crash, Spyro, and even Medieval getting the remaster treatment, we can't leave Ape Escape hanging. So how about it? Let's generate some buzz here. Let's go back in time.
That camera you got back there, that looks like the one I'm using.
Ape Escape.
C9
because Ape Escape is all about traveling through time. Haha. Right off the bat, I love these opening notes. We're about to play something pretty good. The premise here couldn't be any simpler.
Is that Misty from
Spectre,
Pokemon?
a white-haired monkey armed with a super intelligence helmet, has created an army of monkeys and has escaped from their home at Monkey Park. What's up? How you doing? They then raid the laboratory of the professor who created said helmet, which is also the home of a big time machine. A man of many talents, that professor.
Got a big plot, huh?
Actually works.
Our protagonist, Spike, and his best friend Jake, or Buzz in Europe.
Weird.
Sorry, are there no Jakes in Europe? I wasn't informed. Are heading to the lab at the same exact time and get sucked up into the time machine just as it's being turned on by the evil monkeys.
How do they learn how to be evil?
To rewrite history so we can be the ruler of the world. I don't really know how randomly placing aloof monkeys all over the place gets that done, but okay, sure. The professor gives you a lightsaber and a giant net. Go capture the escapee monkeys, stop Spectre, and save the world. Easy. Oh, and Spectre's also taking control of your friend Jake, too. What a plot this is. This is the perfect wacky video game scenario.
Yeah, that's a weird game.
Oh no, the evil monkey is traveling through time to take over the world. Good thing this 10-year-old kid is here. Okay, I know it's very cliche to be like, oh man, this video game plot sure is kooky. Video games, am I right? But the story here in Ape Escape is just so stupid.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have it any other way.
I did part 2.
I've been spotted. Okay, no worries. Let's just give it a sec.
Use your lightsaber.
And just like that, we have blended right back into the environment.
What is happening?
So Ape Escape was a pretty pivotal game back then due to Sony's newest innovation at the time, the dual analog controller. And yeah, I know this is a DualShock. It's not a dual analog controller. It's not the same thing. I agree. I am ashamed. With this brand new control scheme, you're able to move with the left analog stick and aim your gadgets with the right. Completely revolutionary. Funny and absolutely true story, my first experience with this game was with one of those awesome PlayStation Magazine demo discs.
I bet the controls
one of the best ways to check out new PlayStation games. I also did not own a dual analog controller. I only had the original.
I did that first.
But I still really wanted to check out Ape Escape. So for years, the extent of my playtime was just being able to swap between the Stun Club and the Monkey.
The graphics aren't too bad for a PlayStation game.
I'll take 10. Mario had stars, Crash had crystals, Ape Escape has living, breathing, polygonal monkeys who want nothing more than to really just relax in whatever time period they ended up in. But of course, we can't have that, so it is up to you, the player, to traverse these varied landscapes, beat them all up, and capture their knocked out bodies. Or even when they're just running for their life, either way works. I mean, you probably could make an argument that this is animal abuse. Yeah, no, that's all
is
I
some
got.
kind of
To be
abuse
fair,
to
though,
somebody.
they actually do fight
Somebody
back
probably
at
getting
times,
offended
too.
right now
okay,
watching
then,
this.
So it's a story about self-defense.
Bunch of beta
Got
pussies
All
in the
jokes
world.
aside, the process
It's a
of
video
doing this
game,
is incredibly fun
motherfuckers.
and satisfying. Ape Escape has such a unique sense of flow with your character and the gadgets that you get throughout the game. You do start off with just the club and the net, but throughout the adventure, you unlock a hula hoop that lets you run super fast, a propeller that gives you some verticality, a slingshot, even an RC car. You're given quite the lineup of tools to work with. And the monkey radar is always there to help point you in the right direction. And even give you a few stats as well as a humorous little one-liner about their personality. This one loves 70s funk, got good taste. This one is seriously on lookout. This one misses his mom and dad. Oh, that one's just sad. Lovably unstable, huh? Amen to that, brother. Oh man, who could forget the arcade classic? Kids! One of the best aspects of this game is the whole time travel thing. Each chunk of levels takes place in a different time period. You start off seeing dinosaurs, eventually you travel to the Ice Age, adventure through medieval times, all the way up to present day. Oh god, that's terrifying. Each era introduces level themes and gimmicks that are representative of their time. I mean, for crying out loud, at some point this 10-year-old kid starts driving a tank. I guess you could say he really isn't monkeying around here. This bit of variety is important because honestly, while satisfying for sure, the whole collecting monkeys thing, it does get pretty repetitive.
Yeah, I don't like that
part. Very sporadically, there are these monkeys that take actual skill to catch, but most of the time, it's just a matter of running up to them, hitting them, and catching them. Yeah, you do have to find them in the first place, but all it really takes is a little bit of platforming, and most of the time, they're just out in the open. Depending on the color of their pants, which is a really funny sentence by the way, they'll offer up some different challenges on how to tackle them. Like how the green ones are sort of like scientists and they shoot off like a million rockets at you. Oh good. The blue ones are really fast and also really sad. And the red ones are straight up carrying lethal weapons. This doesn't really add much in terms of variety, but it certainly adds a lot to the game's charm. These monkeys became fairly iconic due to their design, and it's easy to see why. But it's the level design that keeps the game interesting, and exploration constantly feels rewarding, even if jumping is mapped to the trigger button. What kind of sick hell? The visuals are really impressive too. Everything here is super bright and colorful, and many of the stages have a great sense of atmosphere. Even inside the giant beast, Dexter. Gross. I will admit I am a total sucker for PlayStation 1 era pixelated 3D, and I gotta say, this game still holds up fantastically. It is a joy to look at. Special mention to the soundtrack too.
PS2 had a lot of good games. It goes for this sort
of drum and bass sound that you really don't hear too often in platformers. Bomberman Hero is like the only game that I think is kinda close. The tracks are not only catchy and memorable, but they help define Ape Escape's style. It is a very distinctive PlayStation 1 era sound, and it is awesome. And of course, we can't forget about the voice acting too.
Spectre, what's going on here?
This also is a very PS1 era thing, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Power alone isn't the true strength.
I think one of the weirdest parts about this entire game is there aren't even any boss battles here.
That
you will sometimes run into a strong enemy. Twice you do a race against your old buddy Jake. There is the final boss, that is true, but that's about it. It's all about that pure level after level gameplay, which is pretty odd for a platformer, but you gotta remember, this game, at the end of the day, was still a showcase for the brand new dual analog controller. Sony was probably a bit more preoccupied with just making sure the controls made sense for the entire game, instead of simply forcing any boss fight for the sake of it that wouldn't have taken advantage of that controller. And I would say this is evidenced in the PSP version of the game, Ape Escape on the Loose. Since the PSP doesn't have a second analog stick, it loses not only one of the customizable gadget slots, but the precision in using said gadgets, and in my opinion, is a weaker version of the game because of it. They also changed the voice acting and made it better.
Hey, you're that ape we just saw.
Made it better,
What's
huh?
going on?
So that kind of makes the game worse. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter which version of the game you play. Ape Escape is constant fun the whole time. Now, it may sound like I'm complaining about the lack of gameplay variety, but it would only really be a complaint if I didn't enjoy the game from start to finish.
I'm sure at the time
there are some issues.
I had a chance to play it.
The main issue with this game comes down to, once again, the repetition of catching the monkeys.
I don't like that idea, just capturing a bunch of monkeys.
It could be a bit rough. You are tasked with doing each level at least twice, since once you get the requested number of monkeys the first time through, you automatically get kicked out.
Reminds me of collecting all the flickies in Sonic 3D Blast.
Behind a gadget that you don't get until the very end of the game, which is fair, but I think it would have been better if you were able to continue playing after getting the minimum monkeys, therefore you have more freedom. It's the same issue that Mario 64 kinda has. Sometimes I want to keep playing the level, but I gotta jump back in and waste some time loading it back up.
I never actually played all that.
Levels also have special Spectre coins spread throughout them, which is great. I mean, another incentive to explore. Collecting. It's a platformer after all. I like collecting shiny things.
Yeah,
however, the reward for getting them is really not worth it. They simply unlock these little mini games back in the time station, which, like the rest of the game, is mostly a showcase for the dual analog controller. There's a boxing game, there's a twin stick shooter, there's a skiing game. They're neat, they're definitely not bad, but they're not good enough of a reason to really go out of your way to explore these levels from top to bottom. That's not to say that there is no good side content here. There is a time attack mode. Now you get the entire world to explore with every monkey to catch, no limitations. It's a pretty fun way to play the game. Although, like the Spectre coins, there's no real reward for doing this either. But at least it's fun. But yeah, when it comes to complaints, that's really all I can think of. Ultimately, Ape Escape is one hell of a platformer.
Just a final
it takes one very satisfying core concept and stretches it out throughout an entire adventure, where it is tied to other mechanics that are explored to the fullest. It may not be perfect, again, it is pretty repetitive, but it's so enjoyable that
I don't like it when games are just repetitive bullshit.
Those slight complaints, they really don't matter to me much.
How'd he learn to drive that tank?
And all of this to capture an evil monkey? That's a good enough of a reason to see the game through to the end, in my opinion. After capturing all 200 plus monkeys, you are off for one final encounter with Spectre. Off in the middle of space, too. Pretty cool set piece. And before they fight, they talk a little bit, and they do this little thing where, like, Spectre asks about his old master back at the park. That's actually a pretty cool bit of character development there.
Well, let's hear it.
But okay, never mind, he's still evil. Just beat him up for a little bit, and in no time, he goes down.
And you have to capture or kill him.
Ape Escape is an absolute PlayStation classic and is a must-play for retro platformer fans.
Yeah, people like the original PlayStation.
Just good at the time due to technically being a gimmick game for a new control scheme. But despite that, this game holds up super well.
I'm more of a PS2 guy, though.
It's just fun,
I like Final Fantasy VII for the original PlayStation.
We can't end things off just yet. There is a post-credit scene, too. Oh.
What the fuck?
Oh, okay.
What's happened?
Wow, okay. So I guess my disc just decided to fail right at the very end of the game. That's nice. I guess you could say my disc was going bananas. No, why would you ever say that?
So there you go, everyone. If y'all want to watch the original video, the link is in the description. Go check it out and shit. And I'm getting the fuck out of here, so yeah. My name is Billy Bob Tanley, and I approve this message.